Hello, folks, and welcome to Prasco Park for a matchup between the Kings Knights and the Mason Comets. Welcome to Prasco Park alongside my partner, Ben Howler. I'm Addison Lenhart. And Ben, we got a great matchup here. Two teams near the top of their conference, the Comets, fourth in the GMC, and the Kings Knights, second in the ECC.
I'm excited for this one. Brendan Garula on the mound for the Comets is what I'm looking forward to today. They're gonna have him on a short leash, and they're not gonna get his pitch count too high. You know, he pitched a couple of days ago against Middletown. They're gonna want him to pitch today, Monday, against Princeton, I believe. So he's someone they get going up against an ace of kings. So Brendan Garula, they're gonna have him on a short leash, but what he's done today, what he's done this year, 2-1 record has been phenomenal.
Yeah, and absolutely. And for Kings, on the mound for the Knights is going to be Terrace Garrett Jr., the senior, coming into this game, 5 innings pitched, 4 strikeouts, 2 saves on the season, a little bit different role for him, 0 earned run average, but he's going to come in and start this thing for the Knights.
Yeah, what Garrett really keys on is his velo, tops out at about 90 miles per hour. Not a lot of guys in high school can do that, so we're going to see what he can do against Garula and against these Mason bats. Kings is the home team today at a neutral site at Prasco Park.
And of course, he's going to be throwing to the catcher Bryce Egan, a senior, very experienced battery for the Knights coming into this game.
If you take a look at what the Mason Comets have done on the year, 8-3 already, 5-3 in the GMC. A few non-conference games went their way, a couple in Cleveland. And obviously that opening day win against Moeller, that was big for them. You know, identity is something we don't really know yet what it is for the Comets. It was a question mark coming into the season, and we're about halfway through the season now, and we haven't figured it out. They've had high-scoring games. They've had low-scoring games, 268 team batting average and 326 team ERA. So if you look at Kings, though, it is not like that at all. You know they are a pitching team. They are a defensive team only with a 213 team batting average, and Max Johnson will get it going for the Comets.
And the first pitch from Terrace Garrett is going to be outside for a ball. And as you talked about how Kings, a great pitching team, great defensive team, come into this game with a 2.33 team ERA. As that pitch is swung on and missed there by Max Johnson.
Couple of fastball balls early for Garrett.
Johnson stands in with a 1-1 count. Change of pace there from Garrett. Sails above the zone, and Johnson is ahead in the count at 2-1. The 2-1 pitch from Garrett. In there for a strike, clipped the outside corner, and the count is even at 2-2. Johnson been around this program for a long time, his 3rd season as a member of the varsity program for the Comets. The payoff pitch from Garrett is swung on and missed by Johnson. A good start for the Knights.
The change of pace, the change of velo from Garrett is what really confused Johnson there. Started off with a couple of fastballs. On the breaking balls, Johnson was expecting 90 miles per hour again. We'll see if Ben Stewart can do any different.
Of course, Stewart comes into this game with 2 home runs on the season. He's been one of the more productive hitters in this Comets offense early on. As he steps in to face Garrett, and he'll call time.
Stewart batting at about .412. That's going to be the highest batting average for the starting Comets. 2 home runs tied for the league lead, 7 RBIs. Productive all year in that 2-hole.
And he takes that first pitch for a ball. Stewart hitting .412 on the season with an on-base percentage of .535. As he takes that one for a called strike to even the count at 1-1. The 1-1 pitch from Garrett. Fouled off by Stewart.
There it is. There's that 90 miles per hour fastball. And Garrett, one of the things about him is is he's young and he hasn't pitched a lot of games. This is a new role for him. They like to use him as kind of that closer guy. And Mason, they started their closer a couple weeks ago. Last week. That was Jake Hanley, and he struggled a little bit. And a lot of people think a lot of that was due to the change in role. So we'll see how Garrett can handle that. Stewart just found another one off.
Of course, Ben Stewart committed to play Division I baseball at the University of Evansville. One of the most talented players in the GMC. He's proved that role early on in this season. The payoff pitch is swung on and missed. Terrace Garrett, 2 up, 2 down for the Kings Knights.
That's big for Garrett. And the Mason bats, they've shown potential, but they're definitely not hot right now. And to get off to a start like he is right now, Garrett, that's going to boost his confidence. And you got Mason guys in the lineup thinking, oh, they just struck out our two oldest, 2 guys playing D1 baseball. You know, that's going to scare them a little bit.
And Hanley takes the first pitch outside for ball 1. Hanley, one of the younger players on this team, him and Mark Rutherford, sort of the 2 super freshmen that Kurt Bly has welcomed on into the program this year. As Hanley is going to foul that one out of play. Rutherford, moving here from Alabama this past year, committed to play baseball at the University of Auburn. And then Hanley, another extremely talented freshman on this Comets roster, as he swings and misses. And that's going to be strike 2, and Terrace Garrett is ahead in the count at 1-2 with 2 down in the top of the first.
Yeah, Hanley, we just talked about him on the mound, and on the plate, it's a little different story. He's had a lot of success, batting over 300 on the year, as there's ball 2. He's got a few RBIs, you know, batting in that 3 hole. He started out a little lower in the lineup, and they really liked what he was doing, the left-hander.
The 2-2 pitch coming from Garrett is popped up. Second baseman Thomas Boster. And he's going to make the catch, and that's going to be the 3rd out of this top of the first inning. So a great start for the Kings Knights as they go 1-2-3. Terrace Garrett with 2 strikeouts. A very efficient first inning from the senior.
Now what you want from the Comets, 2 of your more experienced guys and then your talented freshmen. But we'll see what Garula can do on the mound. He's a lefty. He's been the best pitcher for the Comets all year, arguably one of the best pitchers in the GMC. And he, a lot like Garrett, can just change his speeds, but he tops out at about 88 miles per hour. I believe that's 2nd highest on the team. First is from that freshman, Jake Hanley.
Garula comes into this game 5th in the GMC in total strikeouts with 25. He's been sensational in every single start that he's had, with an ERA of .792 through 17 innings pitched. And Ben, that's just a fantastic line early on in this season, 2-1 in the win and loss column.
You know, there's a lot of those pitchers in the MLB who are very suspicious, very superstitious, and very critiquing their routines. And Garula is someone a lot like that. You know, he was really frustrated in his 2nd start of the year at Lakota West. He only gave up 1 run. The team ended up losing that game 1-0 though, and that 1 RBI came from the pitcher who shut out the Comets. And he's a guy who always wants to be the best. He's never satisfied. That's where that frustration comes from. It's not frustration with the team. It's frustration in himself. You know, you only give up 1 run in 6 innings, and you don't expect to be that frustrated. But that's just the kind of player Garula is.
Of course, a lot of times in sports you can see, especially at the level such as this, the high school level, a lot of young players. You can see them, that frustration kind of channel into some bad habits, but Garula channels it into some good rhythm, as he did against Fairfield. Started off a little bit shaky, walked a few batters in the early innings, but then really settled down, got into a good rhythm, and he likes to work with a fast pace on that mound. Very methodical, but very deliberate on the pitcher's mound, and it proves to be successful for him.
Yeah, Garula's got an arsenal of about 4 or 5 pitches, really leans on the curveball and the fastball. And he loves to live up in the strike zone.
And leading off for Kings is going to be the outfielder, Willie Granau. Brady Bly behind the dish for the Comets today. Him and Garula have been a dynamic tandem early on in this season. As Grinnell steps in for the Knights to lead things off.
Grinnell batting about 238, and you think, oh, that's going to be one of the lowers on the teams. We talked about 213 team batting average for Kings. You know, they play situational baseball. That's where they get a lot of their runs from, is strike one to Grinnell.
Really good start there from Garula as he gets Grinnell to swing and miss on that first pitch, and he's ahead 0-1 in the count. Grinnell looking to bunt. He gets it down. Stewart, and he throws it away. So the Knights will get a base runner. Stewart and Cox not able to execute the bunt defense on that play. And a good start for Kings.
You know, it's hard for Stewart. Someone who's been asked to play, he's played third base all his life, and then coming into the season, he just suddenly gets asked to play first base most games. So it's going to be the corner infield, but when you have to switch like that game to game, you know, it's hard. It's difficult to kind of adjust to a new position, and once you adjust to first base, then it makes that third base spot when you go back a little more difficult.
Terrace Garrett now, the pitcher, as he follows the lead of Willie Grinnell, attempting to bunt for a base hit, as that one rolls past the chalk for a foul ball, as Garula is ahead 0-1 in the count. And Ben, it certainly looks like early on Kings is looking to take advantage of the speed that they have on the base paths. Garrett showing bunt. He pulls back, pops it up in the infield. Garula calling it, and he's got it. And Garula very emphatic about calling the first baseman, Jake Hanley, off on that play.
Yeah, a lot of times I'll tell you, if you're a pitcher, you're not supposed to take a pop-up that high in the infield. You're kind of, because you don't have a good angle on it. The guys further back have a better angle, but Garula, after he saw that error from his defense, he wanted to make sure himself he gotten that out.
Stepping in for the Knights is going to be Lucas Ruswick, a junior. And they got Grinnell. The throw, and he's safe. They called him safe. Johnson, puzzled by the call. Looks like Grinnell was able to get around the tag. And the Comets had him dead to rights, but another failed execution on that play.
Kings is a very gritty team. They're going to make a lot of hustle plays like that, getting around tags. And they caught him in a rundown, and like you said, it looked like for sure they had him, and the throw was on time, perfect throw. But we don't have the best angle on it, but it looks like Grinnell just got over it. And Bly's going to go out to talk to the umpire. It was a short trip. I'm not sure there's much he can do about it after the call. Looks like there's going to be a runner on second now for Ruswich.
Lucas Ruswick comes into this game, second in the team in batting average, .321 on the season. He's a junior. He's got a couple extra base hits as well as Grinnell leads off second. Garula with one down. Here's the first pitch, and he fouls it back. So Kings is making a lot of those momentum plays earlier. These teams met in a scrimmage at the Kings home field during the preseason, and the Comets took that game 4-3. And Kings is coming out looking like they want revenge in this one as Garula throws ball one.
Yeah, like I said, they're a team that battles, and a team with that kind of resilience, a team with that kind of effort is going to be a team that benefits a little more from not having a season last season, because when their mindset is what their strength is, then that mindset's going to be even better. But Max Johnson with the hops.
And Max Johnson, an amazing glove out there at shortstop as he makes a leaping play to steal an extra base hit from the Knights. And the Knights were threatening with a man in scoring position with one down, and now 2 outs in the inning after that play by Johnson.
Really well hit ball from Ruswick, just unfortunate he wasn't able to get to Max Johnson, a basketball star out at shortstop. He's going to play baseball at Indiana.
A lot of multi-sport athletes on this Comet squad. Johnson certainly one of the premier athletes for this Comets team. The pitch from Garula, low for ball 2. Of course, you got Michael Molnar out in right field, a big part of the Comets varsity basketball program this past season as well. And then in left field, Jackson Orlando, a star linebacker on the Comets defense. The 2-0 pitch, swung on and missed, and that'll be strike 1.
Something Garula does really well is he does not get down in counts. He's always ahead. He's always ahead 0-1, 0-2. And he just got down 2-0 here. See what he can do on this fourth pitch, And he gets him to take a rip.
Yeah, Christian Stacy, another two-sport athlete. He was a big part of the Kings varsity basketball program as well this past season. Now Garula has come back to even the count at 2-2 with 2 down. Comets can get out of that 1 out runner in scoring possession, running in scoring position jam right here. Garula swung on and missed by Stacy. Bly attempts to tag him. He'll throw down to first, and the Comets get out of it. Garula with his first strikeout of the game.
That's big. Bly thought he had the tag on the drop third strike. Didn't matter. He threw it on anyway. But it's big for the Comets. You know, you had a lot of adversity earlier. You had that error on the first at bat. You had the steal. And it's good to see someone. Coach Bly really talks about their resilience this year. And something they got to add to that resilience is just consistency. If they can play consistency like you know they can, they feel like they play better when they're down. They have had a lot of games where they had to come back 3+ runs. And you saw that Oak Hills game. They were down 8-3, battled back 8-6 was the final score. If it wasn't for a double play, you know, that could have been a whole different ball game. So Mason's done a really good job this year battling back. You just got to play like you know you can the whole time.
And absolutely. And I mean, when you play in a city like Mason, resilience and excellence is certainly something that comes with being an athlete. As we see Terrace Garrett take the mound in this top of the second inning. Scoreless first inning for both of these teams. Kings, the Knights, coming off a 12-4 victory against conference foe Lebanon to move their record to 7-4 and 5-2 in the ECC. Comets on a bit of a 4-game win streak right now. Of course, they defeated St. Ignatius and Berea Mid-Park in Columbus this past Saturday, and then followed that up with 2 pretty dominant wins against Middletown at home on Monday, and then at Middletown's place on Wednesday this past night. And that's where we are right now, Prasco Park, for this matchup against the Knights here on Thursday.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it. Mason has a game every single day this week, and that's going to burn out your arm. So Mason's depth is what's really going to have to carry him through this week. Garula's pitching today, but they really want him for Monday, the start of next week. So they're going to have to rely on a lot of the bullpen arms to go more than 1 inning.
And they're hoping that they can get some run support, starting with Garula in this inning, the cleanup hitter. As he takes ball 1 outside, the breaking ball from Garrett just missed low and out. 1-0 the count.
Garula gets it done on the mound, but not just the mound. He's batting .368 so far this year. Battled with an elbow injury earlier in the season, but already leads the team in RBIs with 9, 6 runs scored, and we talk about just how he can play both ways.
As he fouls that one back, and all of a sudden Garrett has battled back, and he's ahead in the count 1-2. No runs or hits through an inning of play for either of these teams. An error on the ledger for the Comets. Here is the payoff pitch from Terrace Garrett Jr. as Garula will stay alive with a foul ball over towards the Kings dugout. And the count remains at 1-2. Garula comes into this game. Of course, a dominant pitcher for the Comets all season, but he's also been a talented hitter as he takes that one low. Hitting .368 on the season for the Comets with 8 RBIs. That's good to lead this team with a .548 on-base percentage as well.
Little outside there, and he'll do anything to get on base. You talk about he also leads the team in on-base percentage, and he takes balls. He'll take a pitch. If it's coming in his area, he'll let it hit him. And he's just a guy who wants to win. It's not all about him. And as you can see, doing everything, he'll do anything he can, anything his team asks.
And that full count pitch by Garrett was fouled back by Garula. And the count remains full. Nobody out in the inning. Garula, the cleanup hitter, leading off the top of the second for the Comets. Here's the full count pitch from Garrett. And a foul tip into the mitt of the Knights catcher. And that'll be out number one in the top of the second. Terrace Garrett with his third strikeout of the game, as Bryce Egan was able to squeeze that foul tip. And in steps Michael Molnar for the Comets.
Yeah, Molnar, someone who's kind of underperformed this season. They needed him to be a leader. Just as of late, he's found his stride. He's batting .267 on the year, but he's very situational. He doesn't lead the team in hits or anything, but 7 RBIs, so anytime there's someone in scoring position, anytime there's a lot on base, is really where he finds his stride.
Second on the team in stolen bases with 5 as well in this young season, only second to Ben Stewart with 7. Molnar with a .452 on-base percentage and a .267 batting average, and he did not like that strike call, and he is down quickly in the count 0-2 to Terrace Garrett with 1 down in the top of the second.
There's Garrett getting ahead in the count. He hasn't done that to perfection necessarily so far early in this game as he throws the first ball.
Very efficient start to the game for Garrett. 3 strikeouts and a pop out to second base. Here comes the 1-2 pitch to Molnar. And he lines that one into center field. And that's going to be catchable. And that's going to be out number 2 as Molnar with some solid contact, but the Knights were ready for that one.
It's a solid at bat from Molnar. He's hitting the ball well, and that's kind of been the theme all year for him so far. He's just been getting unlucky, and kind of where the defense has played him. They've played him to perfection, no matter who they're playing. And another hard line out from Molnar. We'll see what Orlando can do. Kind of follows Molnar's lead in that he hasn't necessarily lived up to expectations. Batting only .200 on the year. Only 1 RBI on the year, and he's a guy came into the season batting cleanup. You expected him to get a lot more RBIs than that. Only scored 4 runs, like we talked about, multi-sport athlete.
Here's the 0-1 pitch after that first pitch was called a strike, and that'll even the count at 1-1. Orlando was named by Cincinnati.com as one of the best returning players in the Cincinnati area, specifically in the GMC, coming from this Comet squad, along with his teammate Max Johnson, as he takes a breaking ball on the outside corner from Terrace Garrett for strike 2. 2 down in the inning. Garrett looking to complete another 3 up, 3 down. Here's the payoff pitch. And it's lined into center field. Schaff underneath it. And he makes the catch. Another efficient inning from Terrace Garrett. As we're going to head to the bottom of the second inning. Kings able to keep the Comets' bats at bay.
Yeah, it's big for Garrett to get out of those innings with no runs, but it's also big for him to keep his pitch count down. In high school, you know, these guys are MLB players. I saw the Middletown pitcher throw 97 pitches the other day, which is kind of unheard of as a high school.
Of course, Garula only expected to go about 3 or 4 innings for this Comets team. He looked good in that first inning. Didn't get a lot of help from his defense, but they made some timely plays, including that leaping catch by Johnson at shortstop. And then Garula was able to retire the cleanup hitter Christian Stacy for the 3rd out.
You know, this is really a tale of 2 different teams. Mason Comet's very young, very unexperienced. And you look at those freshmen and say, okay, freshmen is their first year on varsity. But a lot of sophomores and juniors on the same way because of no season last year. And when you look at a team, that's why they've had so many rough starts. That's why they've kind of struggled in situational baseball. You know, Coach Bly wants to win situations, and that's not only executing. First, he wants to know the situation. He wants his team to have a higher IQ, and that's what he's trying to develop this year. And hopefully by the end of the year, they're playing their best baseball because they're a very talented team. And Kings, on the other hand, they're experienced. They know how to play. They know what it takes to win. Very good situational baseball, and that could be a difference. That could be the difference in a game like today.
Leading off for the Knights will be Devin Eads, the senior first baseman, in this bottom of the second inning. It took Garula only 4 batters to navigate this Kings lineup in that first inning, get out of it unscathed. No hits, no runs for the Knights, as in steps Eads. The first pitch from Garula on the ground to Stewart. And Stewart will throw it over to first, and a good pick by Hanley, and that's going to be a first pitch out for the Comets.
Yeah, another choppy throw from Stewart. Hanley able to pick it perfectly. It's big to have a first baseman like that. He's only a freshman, so he doesn't have a lot of experience over there, and he's a guy who's asked to play a lot of different positions. You know, whether it's outfield, whether it's pitching, whether it's a lot designated hitter a lot this year. So great defense there from Hanley.
The pitch from Garula is taken for a strike. That's the second baseman, Cameron Hune, another senior. Very experienced starting lineup for the Knights, as that one is fouled back. And Garula, we talked about it earlier, he's working with that quickness and that diligence on the pitching mound.
And it makes you wonder, you know, Mason came out and said they only want about 3 or 4 innings out of him, but will they let him go longer if he keeps that pitch count down? I'm sure they weren't expecting this low amount of pitches, especially in the first inning, and he's moving very quickly in the second inning, very efficient. So you wonder if Mason will kind of give him more space if he keeps that pitch count down.
As that pitch will sail outside and high for the first ball of the at-bat. One down in the bottom of the second, and he gets Hune to swing and miss. Bly's throw down to first will complete the strikeout, and another beautiful breaking ball there from Garula to send another Knights hitter packing.
Yeah, and there it is again. It was a strikeout. He only threw 1 ball that at bat, a couple foul-offs, but, I mean, efficiency at its best. And all of a sudden, Garula's only 1 batter away.
As the catcher Bryce Egan fouls that one back. 2 down, 2 quick at-bats from the Knights to begin this inning, as this has been a pretty fast-moving game early on for both teams, as here's the second pitch from Garula, taken high for a ball by Egan.
Well, you kind of expect to be fast-moving for Kings. They're a team that struggled at the plate a little bit this year, and Mason's ace on the mound. But for Mason, talk about the identity. We don't really know what their strong suit yet is this year. They kind of haven't really figured it out. But I think as of late, we've seen Mason's bats have been a little lackluster.
2-1 the count to Egan. The pitch from Garula popped up. Is it catchable for Hanley? Looking for it, and he misjudged that one, and it's going to land in foul territory. Definitely a catchable baseball, but Hanley just wasn't able to read that ball in the haze.
And there's that freshman mistake. He kind of felt like he was, like you said, he was in a haze when he felt like the ball was going to go into the dugout, and he tried to reach over the dugout. And once he had his mindset on that reach, he couldn't realize how far back it was going. And it really made him look silly.
On the ground to Drew Cox. The sure-handed second baseman will retire Egan, and the Comets get a 3-up, 3-down inning. And we'll head to the top of the third as we're going to take a quick break, and we will be back with top of the third action as the Knights and the Comets are tied at 0-0 through 2.
Welcome back to beautiful Prasco Park, Mason Comets Kings Knights. As Comets and the Knights haven't got their bats going, not one hit yet today. Only base runner was because of that air from the Comets. And first pitch swinging is Bly. Fly out to left center field. That'll be one out quick for the Kings.
Yeah, and Terrace Garrett has been working with a lot of efficiency in these first 2 innings. A couple strikeouts in that first inning and another in the in the top of the second. And he's been working deliberately and efficiently for the Knights early on in this game.
First pitch to Stewart was high, ball 1. Stewart hasn't got a lot of at-bats this year, but he's a junior, he's homeschooled, he's focused a lot on baseball, got a lot of power as painting the corner is Garrett. And he's someone the Comets really want to rely on deep in the lineup.
Yeah, it seems like this home plate umpire has been very generous about the outside and inside corners early on in this game. As we see Stewart foul that one back. Aiden Stewart coming into this game hitting .250 on the season, a couple RBIs and 3 hits, and only a couple at-bats early on.
The 1-2 swung on and missed. That one nowhere near the zone. Stewart was crossed up, and that'll bring up Kevin West, the center fielder.
Yeah, really good-looking pitch there from Garrett. Just kind of buckled Aiden Stewart, as you said, Ben. As Kevin West, the speedy center fielder, steps in for the Comets.
Low and outside, ball 1 to West. And West is someone only seeking his second hit on the season. He was a big part of the lineup coming into the season. He was a starter from day 1, but they kind of had to take him out a few games. No production at the plate.
Of course, typically it is Garula at that center field position or at one of the positions in the outfield, but West getting the start there with Garula on the mound.
What a play from the second baseman. And the Comets retired in order. One time through the lineup, flawless from Garrett. We'll see if Garula can do the same.
Cameron Hune, what a really nice play there. Great concentration, tracking that ball. Not something you see a lot of times from infielders on those sinking line drives. Oftentimes have a tendency to get buckled up on balls hit towards them. Not outfielders usually tracking those balls, but a really nice play there from Hune to retire Kevin West on that play.
Yeah, Mason's 8-3 on the year. That's only 5-3 in the GMC. As we're going to take a look at the GMC standings. Oak Hills just got that sweep over Mason. We saw that weird game that got postponed in the middle and resumed later the next week. They're 7-0 in the GMC on the year. Only team left that's undefeated. Lakota East right behind them with only 1 loss. But Oak Hills, they got a few guys. They got Jamison Richmond going to play baseball at Louisville in a couple years. A no-hitter last week against the Vikings of Princeton. So all around, Oak Hills, strong GMC title contenders.
Yeah, and there's a lot of talent at the top of the GMC. Of course, Hamilton with Curtis Reed. He's a really talented player, infielder for the Big Blue. Lakota East led by Drew Bachman. The Thunderhawks are another really talented team. The GMC is extremely deep this year. Fairfield gave the Comets some fits in their first matchup, took 3 runs in the 6th inning for the Comets to be able to defeat the Indians. And then, of course, past Fairfield, it's a little dicey, except Coleraine was able to upset Lakota East early on in this season. That's their lone conference loss. So really a lot of unknown early on in this season, as neither Lakota East or Hamilton has had the opportunity to play the Highlanders yet, but the Comets have taken 2 on the chin from them early on in the season.
Noah Danmeyer, the 7-hole. He's going to lead it off for the Knights. Awaiting the first pitch from Garula. Immediately first pitch swing, and that one's foul.
That's probably the hardest hit ball we've seen pretty much all night. Both teams having a hard time waking the bats up. But I think you got to attribute that to the pitching performances of Brendan Garula and Terrace Garrett Jr.
Yeah, 2 aces that come from different spots. You know, Brendan Garula has been the ace, number 1 starting pitcher for Mason all year long. And Garrett, he's been the closer and asked him to step into a different role. There's ball 1 to Danmeyer. Evens the count 2-2.
And Garula was ahead in the count 0-2, back even at 2-2. He's got to make sure to stay composed, not get too cutesy on the mound out there. Still working with some deliberation, looking to get Danmeyer out.
And there it is, that ball 3 low. That's been the first full count Garula's had to face. He works very efficiently, doesn't throw a lot of balls. The payoff pitch from Garula. And a little outside. There's the second base runner for Kings.
And just as we talked about, the pitch count being a big thing for Garula, he's obviously into the third inning now. This is pretty much as far as we expected him to go, according to Coach Bly. But with a walk there and some base runners from the Knights, got to be thinking that Kurt Bly is going to be watching him closely.
You say that, but no action in the bullpen yet for the Comets over on the right field line. As Schaff's up, you may have heard his name a lot today, and that's the center fielder. He's been everywhere on defense for Kings. He shows to bunt, goes all the way through, can't make contact.
Of course, the Knights know that they're not the best power hitting team or the best contact hitting team, period. So they're using their base runners and their ability on the base paths to certainly take advantage of the Comets defensively.
Yeah, they're definitely going to take advantage of that walk as Garula tickles the corner of the strike zone for strike 2. 0-2 the count for Garula.
Good-looking breaking ball there, catches the corner by Garula. Looked like Schaff had an opportunity to get that one down, but he pulled back, and now he's down 0-2 in the count. And you got to think that that bunt sign is certainly off with 2 strikes.
Garula's got a good pick-off move. He's a lefty. Keeping Danmeyer in check over at first. The 0-2. High and outside, no question about that one. That's the first ball to count.
And you see Schaff showing bunt there. And you got to think that he was looking to pull back. Possibly a pitch out on for the Comets, and he might have picked that up. Trying to throw off Garula there a little bit.
The 1-2 to Bradshaw, and he bunts that foul. That's going to be an out. Another strikeout for Brendan Garula. You talked about it. The bunt sign, we didn't expect to be on with 2 strikes, and that's exactly why.
And for the Kings coaching staff, I mean, that's certainly taking your hitting problems to the extreme. Not something you see at any level, really, is a bunt with 2 strikes, but they were taking the chance there, and Schaff wasn't able to get it down as the leadoff hitter Grinnell, who reached on a bunt in the first inning, steps in for the Knights.
Comets infielders, you can see Stewart over at third base playing in, kind of expecting that bunt from Gronau again. He had the bunt and got on. Then he had that steal where Mason really felt like they had him, but the slide got around it. So very shifty, very gritty in the base paths. First pitch coming to him. High, and Dan Miller takes off, and he's going to be safe. Bly's throw, even if it was a dot, still wouldn't have been on time.
Yeah, Danmeyer, that's only his second stolen base on the season, but he read Garula perfectly on that play, and you could kind of see Garula with a face of dismay when he saw Danmeyer taking off, knowing he couldn't really do much about it with that slow delivery to the plate.
And now with only 1 out, they're going to have a runner in scoring position for Gronau, and you turn it over to the top of the lineup. That could be trouble for Garula.
Little question of whether or not that was a pass ball or foul ball, but really not read well by Danmeyer at second base as Grinnell down even in the count at 1-1.
The 1-1 from Garula. Milo, and there's no question about that one. Probably going to be chalked up as a wild pitch. And now there's a sacrifice situation. 1 out, runner on third.
And the Comets are experiencing a little bit of sloppiness that you really don't see typically from a Kurt Bly coached team. With a pass ball there, as the catcher Brady Bly unable to get in front of that bouncer to the plate, and now the Knights with 1 down have a man at third in great position to draw first blood in this one.
We'll see if they can play situational baseball. Fouls off another one. It's Gronau. Evens the count 2-2. And a lot of that sloppiness you can kind of count to the fact that they're very young, very inexperienced. But yeah, like you said, Kurt Bly's teams are always very sharp. And we necessarily haven't seen that yet from the Comets today. Inside pitch. Gronau takes a jab and fouls it off.
And Grinnell, the speedster, the left fielder in this Knights lineup, getting on base with that bunt and that error from the Comets in the first inning. If he can put it in play, he'd certainly be a threat to get Danmeyer home from third.
Ball 3 outside from Garula, and once again works himself into a full count situation, only 1 out. You know, a walk here necessarily wouldn't be the worst thing. You'd get another player. You get a force out at second as he fouls that off.
Of course, you think if Grinnell gets on first base that some sort of base running tactic would be in play for the Knights. His speed and the way Bly's first throw looked, you got to be thinking Grinnell's going to be looking to take second base on the first pitch if he's able to get on here.
The payoff fouled off once again. That pitch caught Grinnell off guard. Garula, slow breaking ball. And Grinnell was out early.
Just a really good job, as we've seen a lot of Knights hitters kind of fall apart at the hands of that breaking ball, but Grinnell did a great job of staying with it and fouling it off.
There's another one, a long at-bat from Grinnell.
And as we talked about, Garula worked with incredible efficiency in those first 2 innings, kept his pitch count low, but already in this third inning, they're drumming up that pitch count right now.
Payoff once again, caught off guard is Grinnell, and he's frustrated. Garula gets his swag, gets his confidence. And with 2 outs now, here comes the pitcher, Terrence Garrett. We'll see if he can help himself out. First pitch outside to Garrett. First pitch strikes is one of Garula's specialties.
Of course, just flashing back to that strikeout by Garula, that breaking ball that we talked about, Grinnell able to stay with, wasn't expecting it on that next pitch as he gets the strikeout there. And then Terrence Garrett now stepping in, 278 in the on-base percentage and 212 batting average, but he's got 6 RBIs to lead this Knights team, as well as a stolen base, 7 hits, and an extra base hit on the season for Garrett Jr.
He's a lot like Garula, excuse me. Key part of their offense and defense. The 2-hitter and their closer. And another breaking ball. Catches Garrett off guard. 1-2. Now Garula quickly gets ahead in the count.
Yeah, that breaking ball is deadly from Garula. He's used it to his advantage a lot earlier in the season, especially against the Fairfield Indians. Really gave that lineup a lot of fits, and he's doing it to the Knights tonight as well.
1-2 gets away from Bly. There's going to be no throw at the plate as Bly stumbles, and Kings Knights are first on the board, 1-0.
And a couple balls that catcher Brady Bly has had a hard time controlling early on in this game. He got over to it. Looked like there might have been an opportunity for a play at the plate, but this is one of those rare scenarios where Garula has not given up a hit in the infield or the outfield. A 0 in the hit column for the Kings so far in this game, but they are on the board with a run.
Counts 2-2, and it looked like that maybe hit Garrett. I think it's just going to be a ball, though. And once again, we have another full count.
Certainly looked like it might have gotten a piece of Garrett, but of course we don't have the best angle back here. Umpire and Terrence Garrett himself didn't seem to think so.
That one fouled back. We'll do it again. Garrett steps in. This at-bat a little less significance now. No one on third. Base is empty. Full count payoff pitch. And they're going to say he went. Garrett goes down swinging, but not before Kings draws first blood.
Nick Garula with a beautiful breaking ball, a nice change of pace there on the full count. It's risky throwing that breaking ball, especially with a full count, but he was able to bury it low, and there was nothing Terrace Garrett could do about that pitch as Garula finally retires the Kings Knights in the bottom of the third. Probably the longest half inning we've had so far in this game. It's been pretty fast moving early on, Ben.
Yeah, and you wonder if that's going to be the night from Garula. My guess right now would be no, because we still haven't seen any action in the bullpen. So maybe they let him go a fourth inning. We talked about that was the longest half inning of the game, and that's because Garula's been able to keep his pitch count down.
Yeah, he did a sensational job in those first 2 innings, and honestly, for Garula early on in this season, it's really been a tale of his ability to rebound after his little bit slow starts, but of course it took Kings a little bit to settle in, but they were able to kind of wait on that breaking ball a little bit, worked the count against Garula really nicely in that inning, drew a walk, and were able to get a run around without even putting the ball in play or getting a hit.
So Addison, tell me, what do you think of Coach Kurt Bly's move to, Garula, a great hitter and a great pitcher. They hit him as the pitcher, but they still wanted a DH. They designated a hit for Drew Cox at second base. You haven't heard his name yet because he hasn't been up. He's who they DH'd for. What do you think of that move?
Well, I mean, you got to look at Cox's numbers early on in this season. They've been a little shaky. 226 on the on-base percentage, but 143 in the batting average. That's actually the lowest on this Comet squad, apart from Kevin West. And honestly, it's just jitters probably from Cox. Hasn't had a chance to play at the varsity level yet. Of course, had to take a year off, but a lot of these players did. And so it's going to take him a little bit, but they love him in the field, and he's got a lot of speed. And, of course, his talent is through the roof. It's just going to take him a little bit of time to settle in as you see Max Johnson take that pitch for a ball. Terrace Garrett still with a perfect game in place through 3 innings.
I see what you did there, trying to jinx him. That'd be good for our part. As he throws that one high, that's going to make it 2-0.
We are calling the game, but of course we're looking to do anything we can to help them out if at all possible. Of course, it seems like this Mason lineup could use just about any help they can get, as Garrett has not helped them out a lot early in this game. But Johnson is able to work the count to 3-0 to begin the top of the 4th inning.
And ball 4 to Johnson. That's a 4-pitch walk. Good start for the Comets. You're kind of hoping Garrett, maybe that gets his confidence down, give Mason a little momentum. And a big, strong power hitter, Ben Stewart, steps up in the box. And for the first time today, Garrett's going to have to work out of the stretch. Keeps Johnson in check. And just as you said, that perfect game from Garrett, it goes away, so I'm going to say it now. He does still have a no-hitter intact.
Of course, there's the second jinx, the second piece of the puzzle here. But Johnson, a lot of speed on the base pass. He's an insanely talented athlete with a lot of foot speed and a terror on the base pass for this Comet squad. Of course, one of the fascinating things we saw in a game against Middletown, just a little blooper kind of between the second baseman, center fielder, and right fielder, kind of Bermuda Triangle out there, and Johnson using his speed, sort of Billy Hamilton-esque, the former Red, able to slide into second with a double, and that's just one of the tools that Johnson brings to this squad.
Yeah, he had that in the same game as when he hit his first home run of his school ball career. So he's one of the rare baseball players, especially in high school, kind of has all 5 tools. 2-0 pitch. Finally able to locate the strike zone is Garrett.
This is another 5-tool player stepping in for the Comets, leading the team in extra base hits with 5. Actually tied with Max Johnson. As Terrace Garrett with a throw over to first base there, looking to catch Johnson off guard. But Stewart has certainly been a mainstay in the Comets' offense early on in this season, batting .412.
High pitch. And with no throw, Johnson's able to take second.
There's that speed on the base paths as Johnson just waited out Garrett a little bit there. Picked the right moment to take off, and Garrett kind of sailed it and didn't give his catcher an opportunity to make the play.
Hitters count for Stewart for a hitter, and ball 4, 2 straight walks for Garrett. Erases that steal. No need for it anyway, and the freshman Jake Hanley's going to step in.
Of course, it seemed like Garrett was working so efficiently, so deliberately on the mound in those first couple innings, and now we're going to see a visit to the mound by the Kings pitching coach here. Back-to-back walks by the senior as the freshman Jake Hanley steps in. Hanley with a lot of pop in that bat. He's got a bright future as a member of this Comets program.
This is an ideal matchup for Hanley in the Comets, too. One of the few lefties Mason has. And he had that error in the second inning. I don't think they're going to give him an error. Kind of misread the ball. But we'll see if he can make up for it anyway. First pitch, low, ball 1.
Looks to be some action in that Kings bullpen down the left field line. Garrett, that pitch count getting up there for him as well. As we see Drew Cox warming up in the Comets bullpen down the right field line.
That's exactly what we expected after a few innings. It would have either been Cox or Fosnot. Blystead coming in, whichever of those, as Hanley drives it. Drifting over, and the gap, and it gets down. Stewart right behind Johnson. They're both coming in at the same time, and they're both going to be safe. Comets take the lead, 2-1. Jake Hanley, 2 RBI double.
And that's the pop that we talked about at the beginning of this at-bat. Jake Hanley, the freshman, he's got that pop to right field. Wind blowing out there, and it certainly carried that ball. And the first hit for the Comets, and as we see the speed from Johnson and Stewart read that ball perfectly. Johnson looking to be safe with the tag up, but both of them able to score.
Yeah, that was deep enough so Johnson didn't necessarily need – he had no chance to tag up anyway, so he could go as far as he wanted and still get back in time. But Johnson thought he had a chance to tag from second to third. That's why Stewart was right behind him. But it fell, didn't matter anyway. And we'll see how Garula can do now. Try to add some insurance with Hanley in scoring position.
And Brendan Garula, the cleanup hitter, and that's what the top of your order is supposed to do, is get some men on base, and then you get it to your power hitters in the third and fourth slots, Hanley and Garula, and hope that they can cash in with runners in scoring position.
It's big swing from Garula, swinging for the fences. Garrett will get out early in the count, 0-2. Garula's trying to protect. Ball 1, low and outside from Garrett.
And on that previous pitch, it looked like Garrett went with the changeup, and Garula was just way out in front of it. As you said, he was looking to put that one over that left field fence.
The 1-2 pitch. And Garula nails it down, but a great play over at third base. And Garula's not able to leg it out.
And that's Christian Stacy, the senior, third baseman for the Knights. Of course, a basketball player as well for the varsity program as he makes a nice play and a good throw over to first.
It feels like it's been a little bit of a reunion from the Kings-Mason basketball game over here. Mason's got a few players, Molnar, Johnson, and then Stacy over on King's side. There's a few more on the bench. And you love to see those multi-sport athletes. A lot of college coaches will tell you they like those multi-sport athletes.
Of course, Coach Bly certainly looking for those guys who are going to stay conditioned year-round and have that experience in big-time moments. And the Comets basketball team certainly had a lot of experience at big-time moments this year. Molnar with probably some of the biggest moments. Of course, big buckets and big defensive plays down the stretch of the OHSAA tournament in March for the Comets.
I do have to say that was probably my favorite game to call, at least this season, was that Mason Walnut Hills game. I don't know if you're going to have too much of a different opinion as Molnar takes time, 1-0 count.
Of course, when you get to March and you get to basketball season, those are certainly the moments and the games that you live for and you love to see. And Molnar coming up big, and he's got an opportunity now with one down and a man in scoring position to come up big during baseball season.
Another pitch that's outside. That one got away a little bit. Hanley's going to stay at second. That's going to make the count 2-0. Excuse me, 2-1. 2-1 count to Molnar. And painting the corner, there's that generous strike zone we've seen all day both ways. So, you can't complain about an umpire when he's calling it consistent.
Yeah, he's certainly been consistent with those outside and inside corners. Pitcher-friendly home plate umpire today. Only one hit between both teams, but 3 runs.
And correction, the count is back to 2-1. Little miscommunication. Molnar drives it. Hanley staying at second to tag, and he'll go. Looks like he'll get in there easily. And Molnar is able to successfully advance the runner. All up to Orlando now.
And, of course, if you're Molnar, you are a little bit frustrated with the result of that at-bat. Felt like you got a hold of that one. Of course, these spacious outfields here at Prasco Park, 400 and 385 to dead center field, but really good situational hitting, getting that ball into the outfield and getting the runner advanced to third base for your 5-hole hitter. Excuse me, your 6-hole hitter.
And Mason got the lead, and even though they're not stringing together a bunch of hits, they're hitting the ball hard, and that's really a good sign to see as this one's a little softer from Orlando right to second baseman. That'll be the inning. End of the inning, but not before Mason able to strike back and take the lead. 2-1 for the Comets on a 2-run double from the freshman Hanley.
Absolutely. Bats sort of waking up there for the Comets. Of course, they took advantage of some mistakes by Terrace Garrett. Pitch count getting up there, a couple walks. We'll see if the Knights want to go with a little bit of a bullpen change, as it looks like, oddly enough, Brendan Garula is going to head out for the bottom of the 4th inning. A little bit of a surprise here. Drew Cox will head out to second base for the Comets. We saw him warming up in this past half inning. And you got to think maybe that Coach Bly was kind of thinking about the future, thinking that possibly Cox's batting slot was going to come up, and he wanted to give possibly his pitcher waiting in the wings as much time as possible to be able to warm up with no interruptions in that bullpen while his team was hitting. So possibly a little bit of strategy there, not putting Cox in the lineup, coupled with his early season struggles.
And Blythe said between Cox and Fosnot, whichever one doesn't come in first out of the bullpen is probably going to be who's going to start the game tomorrow for Princeton. So if anybody was wondering, with Cox warming up in the bullpen, we'll probably see Ben Fosnot, the sophomore, on the mound tomorrow against the Vikings. What do you think about that call?
Well, Fosnot certainly started off this season strong against Moeller. Comets were able to get the victory 9-7. Fosnot, only a sophomore, another really young, talented player for the Comets, and he stepped up big, and, I mean, it doesn't really get much better as far as baseball programs around the state of Ohio than Moeller. Of course, producing talents such as Barry Larkin, the Reds legend, and Ken Griffey Jr. as well. Moeller is certainly up there, and Ben Fosnot came out and gave the Comets some momentum heading into the next part of their season, and they've used that to catapult themselves to a 8-3 record in this 4-game win streak, 5-3 in the GMC.
Here's the also dangerous Ruswick, the 3-hitter coming in. First pitch from Garula is going to be low and inside, ball 1. Awaiting the pitch from Garula. Little inside again, but the generous umpire gives it to him. 1-1, it counts even.
And Garula is just doing a fantastic job. Terrace Garrett as well, painting those corners, taking advantage of this strike zone.
Ground ball to shortstop Johnson off the base. But a good awareness from Hanley, able to tag him out. So a little dicey, but got the out anyway. Good job from Hanley.
And that's really a veteran-type play there from Jake Hanley. The awareness, even after the poor throw from the shortstop to be able to gather himself and make that tag.
First pitch perfectly placed by Garula to Stacy, the basketball star. As he crushes one into the gap. Can the speedy West get there? No, it's the left fielder, Orlando. So I think I was the one that misread the ball off the bat from Stacy. Turned out to be an easy out for the Comets. Quick 2 outs.
It seems like some of these balls not really carrying as much as that ball by Jake Hanley, as Christian Stacy certainly sounded like off the bat he got a hold of that one, but it just drifts into the left fielder Orlando's glove.
First pitch high and outside from Garula. And this one's crushed. Orlando's not able to get to that one. That's Eads strolling into first base. Thought about 2. But right down the left field line. Good throw from Orlando. And we'll see what Hune can do with 2 outs and a runner on first.
Yeah, really good piece of hitting there by Eads, going with that inside pitch and taking it down the left field line. Orlando not able to get to that one. This outfield really talented for the Comets. They cover a lot of ground. Eads with a perfectly placed ball down the left field line to get the Knights a base runner with 2 down.
First pitch to Eads, a little high, 1-0. Garula keeping up with his efficiency, even with that hit. And Eads will foul one off, even the count of 1.
Yeah, Cameron Hune, the second baseman, made a couple plays, and that diving catch at second base to rob Kevin West of a hit in the 3rd inning, and a dirty breaking ball there from Garula, and he's had that curveball working pretty much all game.
Filthy from the Southpaw Jr. And we've seen that all 4 innings of this game. He's gone 3 2/3. That's 2/3 more than we would have expected. And trying to get Hune out. 1-2, fouls it off, able to stay alive.
Hune coming into this game, hitting 161 on the season for the Kings, but driving in 5 runs with a couple stolen bases.
The 1-2 outside, kind of a throwaway pitch from Garula. That's where Bly was set up.
It looked like he lost control a little bit on that pitch, trying to paint the corner. That's certainly where the Comets and Knights have been looking, judging by this strike zone, as Garula just lets that breaking ball get away from him a little bit there. And now the Knights, after 2 quick outs, threatening with a runner in scoring position and another on first, and as the catcher, Bryce Egan, stepping in.
As Garula got a quick first 2 outs, looking into a little bit of trouble. Now with Kocher up. And like you said, he knew that right away. Kind of just slipped out of his hand. He knew before it hit him that it was going to hit him. First pitch is a ball outside to Coker. And that's 3 straight first pitch balls. And, it's one pitch. You think it doesn't have that much significance, but you've seen this inning. First 2 pitches to the first 2 outs were first pitch strikes, and the last 2 have been balls, and they've both got on. As Coker fouls one off, 1-1.
Yeah, Coker, actually the youngest hitter with an at-bat for the Knights this season, hitting .240 on the season with a couple hits, 6 to be exact early on.
Another ball low. Good block by the catcher, Brady Bly, to stay in front of it.
Yeah, Brady Bly, except for a few kind of wild pitches. Of course, you got to attribute that to the pitching of Garula as well, but he's done a really nice job of keeping those balls in front of him and not letting a ton of base runners take extra ones, except for that run scored. Bly's been pretty much flawless behind the plate.
That's kind of what comes with when you have a breaking ball as good as Garula's. You kind of expect it to be out of control at times, and that's what you expect coming in as a hitter's count coming to Coker. Right down Broadway from Garula makes it full, 3-2.
And you got to think that Coker after that hit by pitch from Garula in the last at-bat was kind of looking to be patient, not necessarily take whatever he saw on that play there.
Runners on the move, 3-2 full count. Doesn't matter, it's low. And the base is loaded now for Garula. And Mason's seriously looking into that bullpen now. Of course, you're going to have confidence. You're going to let Garula try to get out of this one. But you feel that if he can't do so with this next batter coming up, it's going to be Dan Meyer.
Dan Meyer, of course, the only run scored for the Knights. Kings getting their first hit in this bottom of the fourth inning. Garula pretty much flawless up until this point. But he's in danger now with the bases loaded.
First pitch fouled back from Dan Meyer. Lefty against righty matchup. Favorable for Dan Meyer. Perfect breaking ball. Buckled up. Dan Meyer didn't know what to do about that one. Just left it alone. He had no business trying to time that up. And Garula's quickly up in the count, 0-2. He's going to throw one away high and outside.
That breaking ball, I mean, Garula's had it pretty much working all game. He was able to drop that one right over the plate. And Garula's had a tendency, as he strikes out Dan Meyer to end the inning with that breaking ball again.
What a pitch and what an effort from Garula to get out of that inning. It looked promising to start with 2 quick outs, but then Kings quickly came back and loaded the bases with a walk, a hit by pitch, and a hit. But the strikeout from Garula showing he's just better today. That might be the day for him.
Yeah, Garula early on, I think kind of with those first 2 walks and the first couple base runners that he let up, he kind of had a tendency to get a little bit too selective, a little too cutesy on the mound. But he did a really nice job of just buckling down and going right at the hitter there, Dan Meyer, and sitting him down to end the inning, getting out of trouble. And that's going to be a huge storyline. Kings looking back at the runners left in scoring position if they're not able to win this game. They're going to look back to that situation when they had the bases loaded and weren't able to cash in.
And for Kings, Garrett, who was able to work out of the jam, but not before giving up 2 runs, they're going to bring him back out. You know, his pitch count got a little higher than it was in the first few innings than what it looked to be. But they like him going into the 5th. Leading off the inning for the Comets is going to be the catcher, Brady Bly. More of a defensive specialist, but he's got some pop on his bat. More of a contact hitter. And really just an on-base guy for him, too. Bly awaits the first pitch from Garrett. Standing in the lefty. Right on the outside corner, strike 1.
And Bly, of course, only 15 at-bats, 7 games played in this season. The junior with getting his first taste of varsity baseball this season, hitting .267 on the year with a couple RBIs.
The 0-1 to Bly, swing and a miss. Another well-placed ball from Garrett. That's big for him to get up in that count 0-2 and to see if he can get rolling against the bottom half of the lineup for the Comets, bottom 3. And the 0-2 is going to be a little bit outside. Umpire not too generous on that one.
Yeah, and the catcher Coker setting up really far on the outside corner there. Garrett attempting to set up Bly on the outside.
Slow breaking ball. Bly gets a piece of it. But second baseman right in front of it. And that'll be out 1 for the Comets. Aiden Stewart, the DH, coming to hit.
And Cameron Hune's pretty much been pretty flawless at second base for the Knights in this game. That had that diving catch earlier. He's had a lot of action.
Stewart awaits the first pitch. Slow breaking ball. That one in the dirt, 1-0.
Stewart, only a junior, but Coach Bly believes he's going to be a big part of this Comets team down the stretch. Typically a bench bat for the Comets. He's going to be a huge asset with this revolving Comets lineup.
The 1-0. Low, but they call it a strike. Generosity at its finest. Both ways we've seen it. We've been talking about it all day. Just a bigger strike zone. You just got to adjust. And 1-1. Little high.
Garrett looking to paint the corner on that one. Probably a little bit too high, a little bit too outside. Stewart with some patience there as he gets back ahead of the count.
And another strike perfectly placed from Garrett. 2-2. I guess one of those strikes was called a ball. But the count's even. We'll see what Stewart can do. Swung on, fouled right into the Mason dugout. Stewart's a big power bat. Got a lot of pop. And when it's only 320 to the corners as he fouls another one off, you got to be expecting with 2 strikes now. See what he can do.
And Stewart with a .250 batting average, .308 in the on-base percentage, 12 at-bats, only played in 6 of the 11 games for the Comets this season. As he takes a hit by pitch there, stands in there and takes it. And the Comets have a base runner with 1 down. And after Kevin West's appearance, they'll have the top of the order.
Now this is a big at-bat from West because you're going to turn it over to the top of your lineup, and that difference between 1 out and 2 on and 2 out and 1 on is crucial. And once you want out of your 9 hitters, not always asking to get that big double or get that RBI. It's just to get on base any way you can. So we'll see what West can do. As he waits the first pitch, looks to bunt for a split second there. Pulls back, it'll be a strike anyway, 0-1.
It maybe looked like a little bit of miscommunication there between head coach Kurt Bly and Kevin West. Possibly got a little tied up at the plate there trying to figure out what he wanted to do.
The 0-1 to West. Big swing and a miss. Nasty breaking ball from Garrett. We've seen that all day.
And Kevin West has certainly had his struggles at the plate this season, coming in with 20 at-bats and only 1 hit to show for in this young season. But he's a speedster that Coach Kurt Bly, another one of those young players he thinks is going to have a big role coming down the stretch of the season.
And strike 3, Kevin West sat down. Had no chance to even move the runner over. And you almost wonder, there was 1 out, but it's your 9 hitter. He only has 1 hit on the year. Would you have wanted a bunt situation there and move Stewart into scoring position with either Johnson or Stewart up? But there's 2 outs anyway and no productivity from that out. Johnson up, 2 out, 1 on. First pitch out, ball. Looked like Coker tried to overframe that. That may have been the reason it was a ball.
That's one of the things with a lot of these young catchers is that they'll have a tendency to be overzealous and, just like you said, overframe some of these pitches. And a lot of times umpires will not look to give you calls that sometimes can sort of diminish your chances of getting a call on the outside or inside corner.
Yeah, it's like over-flopping in basketball. It's like when you see a flop like that, a ref doesn't want to call it, even if there was a little bit of contact. As Garrett's very cautious about Stewart over at first. Not the quickest, not the fastest on the team. But in a situation like this, where you'd have the top of your lineup to start the next inning, but Stewart's held very close over at first. Johnson swings back, hits the net. That'll make it a 1-1 count.
And Johnson, of course, had that home run in the last game, 2 games ago against Middletown. He's got the pop in the bat, most known for his contact, but he is a great gap-to-gap hitter with a lot of speed for the Comets.
The 1-1. Little low, gets away from Coker. and Johnson's ahead in the count. The switch hitter going to do what's more advantageous for him. From the righty Garrett. The 2-1 swung on, hit hard. Will that get in between the center and left fielder? And it does. I'm kind of curious. Maybe there were 2 outs. I'm not sure why Stewart wasn't on the run. And I think Bly's going to be upset about that.
Yeah, Coach Kurt Bly immediately yelling over to Stewart right there, and it looks like Kurt Bly looking to make possibly a substitution, but he looked over at Stewart right on that play, wondering why he wasn't heading over to possibly take third on that play as well.
And I know that's going to make Bly upset because he wants an emphasis on just knowing the situations. That's where he wants to start. And that youth, that inexperience is going to be a reason they only have a runner at second. And they're going to take Stewart out at second. Maybe they want more speed, as we're going to wait to see exactly who they sent out. That's going to be Laughlin, backup catcher for the Comets. He's he's got some speed, and he's got some, not the most pop in his bat, but he's a real good contact hitter, is Laughlin. First pitch to Stewart's a ball outside. Big situation here for Stewart. Can the Comets add some insurance?
Yeah, that substitution putting Laughlin at second base, and Stewart's got a real good opportunity here, ahead in the count 1-0. Garrett kind of getting up in his pitch count a little bit. We'll see if Stewart can take advantage of that kind of fatigued arm as he fouls that one off there. The Comets with a 2-1 lead. This is where big-time players make big-time plays. Runners in scoring position in the later innings against pitchers who have really had their number. Garrett only giving up 2 hits in this game, one of them a bloop single by Johnson, as we just saw. Stewart with a big opportunity here for the Comets.
Counts even at 1-1. The player we mentioned earlier has all 5 tools. 5 stolen bases on the year, and he pops that one straight up over on the third base side. Third base coach Bly has to get out of the way and fielded cleanly. That's going to be the end of the inning for the Comets. Bottom of the 5th coming up.
And good job by the third baseman there, Christian Stacy, staying with that one. And with the cloudy skies, the ball can have a tendency sort of to blend in, mixing with the color of those stadium lights. It can have a tendency to kind of throw off some fielders. But we got a 2-1 lead for the Comets, as we'll likely see a pitching change here. And just as I say that, it looks like Drew Cox is going to head out to the mound. And Cox has been sort of a revelation for the Comets on the mound in this season with a 0 ERA through 4 innings pitched, tied for the lead in the GMC with a .250 whip and 6 strikeouts, a win and a save for the young sophomore.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal in the opportunities he's got this season so far, and I'm really curious to see. We don't have the best angle, so I'm curious to use that second base. Did they put Laughlin out there? Or what? But I think this is someone for the Comets. He's only pitched in a few situations where he's only pitched in one situation so far this year, where he's been asked to pitch more than 1 inning. So what are you expecting out of him if you're the Comets?
Well, of course, this is the situation that Cox has pretty much been dominant in his appearances. Of course, only 2 games, but he's pitched 4 innings. One of them he achieved a save. He's got 6 strikeouts and, of course, hasn't allowed a run. But he's going to be facing a Kings lineup that's going to be headed to the top of their order after Jaden Schaff here. And, of course, Cox in a big-time moment here. His team with only a 1-run lead against a big-time opponent like Kings. Big-time atmosphere here at Prasco Park. It's going to be key for him to keep the nerves under control and get some good pitches.
Yeah, and it's about the nerves. his situations he's pitched in so far haven't been the most important situations or the toughest situations, as it's going to be like here. And Shaft is going to lead off for Kings. He's the 9-hole, ready to turn it right over to the top of the lineup. So this is a big out. It's going to be the first batter Cox faces, and you definitely don't want no outs with one runner on to face the top of the lineup. First pitch from the righty in the dirt, ball 1.
And yeah, just like you said it, coming with the top of the order, a lot of speed for the Knights. And speed certainly tends to give some of those younger pitchers a little bit of issues. They get a little antsy out there, start throwing over to bases quite often, which can throw off their rhythm.
Quickly down early, but fights back. 1 strike, 2-1 off the foul ball from Shaft. Shaft definitely more of a defensive specialist, but he's got some pop on his bat. And he's going to look to get on with no one out here against the young sophomore pitcher. 2-1. Low and outside for ball 3, immediately giving Shaft a hitter's count.
Yeah, Shaft, the center fielder for the Knights, and Cox looked like he wanted that pitch. That's Shaft with a good hit.
That's going to go down the right field line, and it gets past Molnar. Shaft is looking for 3. He'll get in there safely. Stand-up triple for Shaft, and that turns it over to the top of the lineup, not the start Cox wants.
And you could see Molnar just right off the bat did not read that one correctly, and his momentum looked like it kind of just took him towards the right field line, and he attempted to make a last gasp play. But if you're Drew Cox, that's not the play you want to see from your defense with a 1-run lead. You got to be seeing a little bit more conservative play out there in right field, but Molnar makes a drastic mistake, and all of a sudden the Knights are in business with nobody out and a runner on third.
This is Cox got his work cut out for him. And if you're Molnar, you expect those mistakes out of those younger, more experienced guys, but Molnar's a guy who's been playing the game a long time, going to be asked to be one of the leader for the Comets. And when you're trying to correct those mistakes by those younger guys, it just makes it so much harder. As a nasty pitch from Cox is going to be a little high. It makes it so much harder for a team to have success when the older guys are making mistakes like that.
And that's absolutely right, but you got to give Molnar some credit. After that dive, a ball that gets past the outfielder to the wall has a tendency to turn possibly into 4 bases, but Molnar did a good job getting up and getting that ball in quickly to prevent the inside the park home run.
It was a good relay as there's strike 1. To Gronow, awaiting the signs from the head coach, McClung. Count even at 1-1. Here's a pitch. Another nasty breaking ball. It's going to be high again.
Cox doesn't look to be getting some of the breaks that some of the pitchers early on got from this home plate umpire, and he's behind in the count now, 2-1. To the speedster Gronow with a runner on third. Things looking dire for Cox right now.
Can't give up any free bases here as a breaking ball almost hit Gronow. Able to get out of the way, but not before it gives him a hitter count, exactly the count that Shaft had where he nailed a stand-up triple. He's taken a lot of time between pitches to get some signs. Situations change. It's an odd situation with a runner on third and no out. And strike. Gronow was headed to first. The generosity's back from home plate umpire. And it'll be full again.
And not really sure what Gronow is surprised about on that play there. That home plate umpire's been giving him the outside corner pretty much the entire game. Gronow didn't really agree with it there. But as you said, these Kings hitters kind of taking a lot of time messing with the rhythm of the young pitcher. That could be crucial in this game.
Full count pitch. Lifts it down the right field line again. Can Molnar get this one? Diving play. And he grabs it. But the run scores and ties the game, so you wonder, makes you really wonder, do you let it go and not let a sacrifice come in? But they do get one out. I'm thinking, from my perspective, there's no outs. Just go ahead and get the out. I mean, it's very unlikely the run's not going to come in anyway. Addison, what do you think?
I mean, you're not really sure if that's going to be fair or foul in that situation anyway. You're not really sensing where the line is at that point, but we got to talk more about what an amazing effort that was there by Molnar after that last play, able to recover and just make that incredible diving catch on the right field line.
Not the worst situation. Kings had a runner on third, no outs now. 2 straight fly balls. They got the run in, but back to a comfortable situation for Cox. It's very hard to work out of an inning without giving up any runs when you have a runner on third and no outs. So Cox really doing the best he could do. But yeah, like you said, Molnar, phenomenal play. I was shocked he caught that. Couldn't really see it from here, awaiting the call from the ump as first pitch is a strike to Ruswick.
2 outs. Tie score here as that pitch is taken for a strike there by Ruswick, but Cox has done a pretty solid job. He got, of course, the 2-hole hitter for the Knights to fly out to the center fielder. And giving up only 1 run, had a man on third with nobody out. This is pretty much the best-case scenario for Cox.
And shortstop right to Johnson. No hesitation making that play. Comets get out of the inning. As we're going to head to break, 2-2's the score after 5 innings. Stay tuned for the final.
Welcome back to Prasco Park for the top of the 6th inning here as Jake Hanley, the freshman first baseman, steps in for the Comets. Kings able to equal the score in that bottom of the 5th as Terrace Garrett still working out there for the Knights. This is his 6th inning, only giving up 2 hits and 2 runs to the Comets.
Yeah, he's been working. Even in those big innings, his pitch count's been down. It feels like there's never really been more than a half inning for the Comets where there's more than 5 batters up at a time. As a leadoff single for Hanley, and he's 2 for 3 on the day.
And a couple hard hits by Hanley as he's able to place that one right in front of Jaden Schaff there. As the Comets now with a base runner, nobody out, top of the 6th inning.
Stepping up to the plate is going to be righty A.J. Lefton, someone we didn't expect to come into the game even as a pinch hitter. Name wasn't on our list, but he's a junior. We'll see what he can do. He's a 2-way star.
Yeah, second baseman coming in to replace the pitcher, Drew Cox, who started at second base for the Comet, as he looks to lay down a bunt, and Garrett puts that right up near his teeth there, able to pull back for ball number 1.
And it quickly becomes apparent why the Comets went with Lefton, one of the best bunters on the team. Probably what he's going to be asked to do here. Situational baseball from the Comets.
Lefton, a talented junior in this Comets lineup. Hanley leads off first, Garrett working from the stretch. as a breaking ball, and he nestles it right on the inside corner. Lefton wasn't able to lay that one down.
I mean, that's a hard pitch to read and a hard pitch to lay your bat in front of for a bunt. A lot of movement on it, and Lefton didn't want any business with that, hoping it was going to be a ball. As a quick reaction over to first base keeps Hanley in check.
We've seen that pickoff move a couple times from Terrence Garrett. As now Coker's going to throw over, and Hanley gets back in time. 2-1 the count to A.J. Lefton.
Hanley's not going to be one of the biggest threats for for Kings on the base paths. As the bunt put down again, but it's going to be high, 3-1. Perfect situation for Lefton.
Good job by Lefton here to work that count. Of course, that bunt can almost throw off some pitchers, looking to almost avoid throwing it to the bat of the opposing hitter as Molnar stands on deck for the Comets. And that's going to be ball 4 to Lefton, and the Comets are going to have a runner on first and second with Molnar coming to the plate, nobody out.
That's exactly what you don't want to do against a batter who's really only in there to bunt and get the runner over. You give them a free 90 and they're not able to get the out. And a perfect situation in the middle of the lineup now, Molnar and Orlando coming up. Two of the more power hitters for the Comets. We'll see what Molnar can do. You know what they say about players who make outstanding diving plays when they're up next. Gives them a lot of confidence.
Of course, Molnar in that last inning sort of responsible for giving up that triple to the bottom of the order hitter, the center fielder Jaden Schaff, that proved to be the second run of the game for the Knights. We stand deadlocked here at 2-2. As Garrett attempted to throw back, but nobody back there holding on the freshman Hanley. As Molnar is still waiting for a pitch to be thrown in this at-bat. And here is the first pitch to Molnar. He's looking to bunt as he gets hit with the pitch there. And he's going to take as he's pointing down to the field umpire, a little bit of confusion here. And we'll see what the call is.
Yeah, this is a weird situation. A tough spot for the ump. As did Molnar pull the bunt back, we're going to wait the call. And they're going to give him first base. Kings fans aren't happy about that one. But bases loaded for the struggling Jackson Orlando. There's no one out. And a golden situation for the Comets.
There's not much more of a confidence booster here if you're Jackson Orlando than driving in a couple runs in a big spot such as this, facing the starting pitcher, Terrence Garrett. He's been dominant all game. Here comes the first. And that's in there on the outside corner for strike one. Orlando disagrees.
It's hard on a first pitch like that when you're the hitter and you don't like the strike call. It kind of messes your mindset up for the rest of that bat. You kind of focus attention over to the umpire. If you're Orlando, you got to mentally stay in this at-bat. Even a sacrifice would do.
The pitch from Garrett is fouled over the net, and Orlando's going to be behind 0-2. And Jackson Orlando certainly seems to have a little bit of a different energy, a different confidence up at that plate right now. Looking to drive in some runs in a big spot here in this sixth inning. Garrett trying to work out of a bases loaded, no out jam. The payoff is high up near the head of Jackson Orlando for ball one.
We've seen the bullpen going for a long time for Kings and no changes quite yet. They have a lot of confidence in Garrett. Someone who normally only pitches one inning at a time. They're letting him go 5. And a weird check swing caught by the pitcher. And almost one of the worst at-bats you can have with the bases loaded and no out.
And Jackson Orlando getting a little bit caught up there, not able to drive in any runs. Garrett one step closer to getting out of this thing. Brady Bly now, the junior catcher, stepping in. Little righty versus lefty matchup here in favor of the Comets.
You know, you're going to do anything to try to sacrifice and get that run over. Because what it does now with one out and bases loaded, it sets out that double play, and you're in danger of not scoring on bases loaded, no out situation.
Breaking ball there from Garrett gets away a little bit as Bly takes ball one. He's ahead in the count. One down. Looking like Noah Samuel is going to be pinch hitting for the Comets as he stands on deck. As a swing and miss there from Bly, and Garrett evens the count at 1-1.
Yeah, Samuel's going to be in that DH spot. That's where Stewart was. And after a good at-bat, Stewart worked a walk. That's going to be the day for him.
Inside corner there. Home plate umpire not going to give Garrett the call. Bly ahead in the count, 2-1, one down, bases loaded. Molnar on first, Lefton on second, and Hanley on third. Still only 3 hits in the game for the Comets. The pitch to Bly is popped up, and it's going to be out of play and foul down the left side, and the count is even at 2-2. Top of the 6th inning. One down, bases loaded. Terrace Garrett attempting to get out of a bases loaded and no out jam. The payoff pitch from Garrett. Did he go? Yes, he did. Bly with the check swing, and he goes around. A huge strikeout there from Garrett, and it goes from bases loaded, no outs to bases loaded, 2 outs real quick.
I know we're Mesa broadcasters, but I don't know about that call. They had a better angle on it than us. But they're going to say he did go. That's 2 outs now. Samuel stepping in, and for his first at-bat of the game, looks to be one of the most important at-bats of the game. The lefty against the righty. Garrett, and you got to think Garrett's confidence is through the roof right now after he was put in a tough situation. And just like that, with a few pitches, able to work out with an infield fly and a strikeout.
Noah Samuel coming off an injury to his throwing arm, Tommy John surgery. Typically a dominant pitcher for this Comets pitching staff, but he's made his money as a pinch hitter, and a big swing and miss there. Actually went yard at Wright State in a preseason game for the Comets. He's got home run type power, and with that ball blown out towards right field, if Samuel can get a hold of one, he can certainly break this game wide open, as that ball is going to skip to the backstop, but it's going to bounce right back to the catcher Coker, and Hanley is unable to advance.
Very fortunate play there from Kings. There's a short backstop here at Prasco Park, and that's going to benefit them in this situation. As Samuel on the year is batting .267 with 6 RBIs. So situational baseball, he's been solid, near the team lead in RBIs, and he's going to pop one up.
Stacy looks over. It's going to be right behind the plate here as it takes a shot off the press box. And the count now in the favor of Terrace Garrett at 1-2 and 2 down. What a Houdini act this would be if Garrett is able to navigate his way out of the jam. 1-2, 2 out, bases loaded. The payoff pitch from Terrace Garrett. Outside corner, the breaking ball. Knights faithful wanted it. They don't get it, and Samuel stays alive. The count at 2-2.
Yeah, that's a pitch most of the game. It's been a strike all day. Samuel very fortunate. You know, he's new to the game, so he doesn't necessarily know that firsthand.
Garrett again. Outside corner again, and it's low. Full count.
Samuel thought he struck out there. Walking back to the dugout, very fortunate there. That's why you don't walk back like that. If an ump's unsure and you kind of give him that idea, the batter approves that it's a strike.
The full count pitch from Garrett. Runners going, and Samuel swings and misses. Terrace Garrett works out of the bases loaded, no out jam. The score remains at 2-2 as we head to the bottom of the 6th inning. A Houdini act pulled off by Terrace Garrett Jr., and the score remains deadlocked at 2 apiece.
Situational baseball. Coach Bly has been preaching it all year long to his young players, and to not be able to get a sacrifice when your bases loaded with no out, you got a couple chances. I'm sure he's going to be very unhappy with their performance in that bottom top of the 6th inning. And it'll be Cox back out to work his second inning of work in the bottom of the 6th.
Yeah, those are the situations that the best of the best are able to cash in on, and the Comets not quite there yet, not able to get any runs across. Hanley stranded at third base for 3 batters. More work in the Comets bullpen, it looks like. Drew Cox giving up 1 run in that last inning, mostly due to the triple by center fielder Jaden Schaff down the right field line. Score at 2-2. Kings with only 2 hits in the game. The Comets with 3. It's certainly been a defense and pitching clinic put on by Terrace Garrett, Brendan Garula, and Drew Cox in this game.
Yeah, it's a situation for the Comets where you would have liked to have Garula go longer, and you wonder if he did, if that second run wouldn't have come in for Kings. But at the end of the day, this isn't a conference game, and Mason's a little more worried about those GMC matchups, and they really want him for that Princeton game on Monday. And with a young high school pitcher like that, you can't overwork him. So Blige is making the decision out of the safety for his team.
Christian Stacy stepping in, the third baseman for the Knights. The first pitch to him is fouled out of play down the right field line.
Stacy's going to come up in the big spot. It's been the start of the innings, the last few innings, that have been what's really sparked both teams and their scoring innings as he steps out, taking the time.
Of course, the Knights looking to take as much time as possible up at the plate, trying to mess with the rhythm of the young pitcher, Drew Cox. He's ahead 0-1 in the count as Stacy with a pop fly over to shallow right field. Lefton and Molnar converging as Molnar takes care of business.
Looked a little shaky at first. Lefton just wouldn't get out of the way, and Molnar couldn't tell if he was calling him off. We can't hear that from here, but fortunately able to get the job done.
In stands Devin Eads, the first baseman. Cox's first pitch. Breaking ball in the inside corner a little bit too low. And that's going to be ball number 1. So Eads ahead in the count with 1 down in the bottom of the 6th. The 1-0 pitch from Cox is lined into right center field. That's going to get down. Eads is around first. He's heading to second. Molnar cuts it off. And the Knights have a runner in scoring position with 1 down. Devin Eads fits it right in between the right and center fielder for a base hit. And with 1 down, the Knights, with a runner in scoring position, will see if they can get that runner home and take the lead headed into the final inning of play.
You're going to wonder, what do you do with Cox here? He's a young pitcher. Do you leave him in for experience? Do you trust him? Do you let him go to someone else? Pretty much made the best out of a situation when he had a runner on third and no outs. So you kind of got to trust him again here. A little different situation. 1 out, runner's only at second.
In steps the second baseman, Cameron Hune. Cox working from the stretch. The first pitch is lined out towards right center field. Molnar is going to come in and make the catch, and he got too far off the bag. Devin Eads with a mental error, and the Comets get a huge break. We'll head to the top of the 7th with the score remaining tied.
That's a momentum shift if I've ever seen one. Popped right up to, I believe that was West over in center, and perfect awareness to fight over to second. Just over, I believe that was Hune. Hune was at bat, and whoever was on second, that was Eads, was just over anxious, was just excited about that hit. It was very well hit. Didn't realize where West was playing, and it was played perfectly. And quickly ending the inning and giving Mason a little more momentum.
Terrace Garrett back out on the mound for this top of the 7th inning. He's been dominant all game, only giving up 3 hits and 2 runs through 6 innings of work. As the Knights come out looking to get this to the bottom of the 7th inning. And as we talked about Coach Bly, wants his team to know the situation. It looked like the Knights just weren't able to take advantage of the situation advantage they had there. A couple mental mistakes from both of these teams in the last couple innings of this game.
Mason really wants to set up a safe situation in the bottom of the 7th. Who are they going to go to? They got to worry about the away half here. Mason's had their shots at Garrett, and they just want to get that knockout punch in the top of the 7th.
Kevin West is going to be the leadoff hitter. Max Johnson and the rest of the top of this Comets lineup waiting in the wings. The pitch from Garrett to West, a bunt, and it's straight up in the air, and Christian Stacy, that's about as easy as an out as he's going to get, and Garrett gets a quick one-pitch out to begin the 7th.
You know, when you're in a slump like West does, sometimes a bunt like that can get your confidence going. You just want to get on base to kind of get a feel, get a taste of what that's like. But West kind of too over-anxious on that.
Johnson takes ball 1, and this is really where most of the Comets' run support comes from. The 1 and 2 slots, Johnson, the Indiana commit, and Stewart, the Evansville commit. The pitch from Garrett is lined to the shortstop. Johnson is going to be retired at first base. A nice pick by the Knights shortstop there. That was Sam Palmieri, the junior, and 2 quick outs for the Knights.
As quick as a 6-3 ground out you're going to see. Picked it perfectly, and Stewart now with no on, 2 out. We're going to see what he can do if we can get something started.
The pitch from Garrett to Stewart is taken for strike 1. Looked a little bit high, but Stewart, with that 6-3 frame, takes it for strike number 1. 2 down in the inning, 2 quick ones for the Knights, 0-1 count. The pitch from Garrett is going to be taken for ball number 1, and the count is even. Top of the 7th inning action here from Prasco Park. A pitching duel thus far, as ball 2 there in the dirt by Garrett.
And it's starting to look like Garrett doesn't want to have anything to do with Stewart. And with no one on, there's 2 out. You want to get out of the inning, but letting him on here with a walk wouldn't be the worst thing, especially someone as much of a threat for a home run as Stewart is, as he deals him strike 2.
Stewart already with 2 big flies on the season. Jake Hanley, the lefty, who's really had Garrett's number in this game, and Stewart with a line drive into left field, and the Comets have a base runner. As that one just got a little bit too much of the plate, and Stewart takes advantage.
That one, it really felt like Stewart knew what was coming, knew what pitch, guessed perfectly, and sent it right in past third base. And Hanley will see if he can capitalize. Another double would likely score Stewart. We know he's capable.
Hanley at the plate with 2 hits already in this game. Stewart leads off. Garrett's got that quick pickoff move we've seen a couple times. 2 down in the inning. Stewart's going to go. The throw down to second is not in time. In the dirt, a little bit offline, too much for the shortstop Palmieri to handle, and the Comets have a runner in scoring position with 2 down.
That 90 feet makes it so much easier for the Comets now. Likely all it takes for Hanley is just a single. And that puts Garrett in a little bit of a hole. An intentional walk to Jake Hanley, the freshman. How often do you see freshmen get intentionally walked?
That's knowing the situation. If you're the Kings benches, it looks like Brendan Garula is going to re-enter the lineup for the Comets. But they didn't like the righty-lefty matchup there in favor of the Comets. They put the runner on, and now they've got a force at all 3 bases. Garula at the plate.
High school baseball is weird with their substitutions and everything. Garula going to be able to re-enter only as a hitter. Big swing and a miss for strike 1.
Garula couldn't quite keep his head on that one. Pulled it out towards left field there as the count is in the favor of Terrace Garrett, 0-1. 2 down. And a breaking ball and a beautiful pitch there from Garrett Jr. And Garula down 0-2.
When you're fatigued, pitch 6 2/3 like Garrett has, your breaking ball, you're going to have to rely on a little more because your velocity is not going to be as high on those fastballs. And that's how you do it to perfection on that pitch.
Garrett's payoff pitch is high and inside over the head of Brendan Garula for ball number 1. Garrett remains ahead in the count. 2 down in the top of the 7th. Comets with 2 base runners on, first and second. Stewart at second after his base hit. And that's going to be outside. Stewart trying to move up to third. Throw down to third. Stacy with a good job keeping that ball in front of him, and the runners move up.
Yeah, very lucky there. If I was a catcher Coker there, I would not have thrown it down to third base and risked that error. Really had no shot with the speed of Stewart. But now there's 2 in scoring position for the Comets. And it's all up to Garula now. 2-2's the count.
This is a big spot for the junior, Brendan Garula, trying to help himself almost a little bit. Had a really nice pitching performance, only giving up 1 run to the Knights. Trying to sort of push his team across the finish line, and that ball is low. Coker, good job keeping that one in front of him. And a full count with 2 down, second and third. A big pitch coming up here from Terrace Garrett. The senior who has already doubled his innings total in this game.
And how about this matchup, Addison? The 2 starting pitchers, it's been a pitcher's duel all game, both of them spectacular performances. But Garula's at the plate, so we'll see who can win full count.
And the pitch is on the inside corner. Garrett gets the strikeout again, and the Comets in the last inning left the bases loaded, and in this inning they'll leave runners on second and third. And Kings with an opportunity to win it in the bottom of the 7th.
You know, that's exactly what Kings wanted, and Garula tried to play it off like he thought it was a ball, tried to walk his way down to first. But it really wasn't close in our eyes. And now it's going to be all up to see who we see Comets put on the pitcher's mound. You never want to be in this position as the away team, where the best you can do in this half inning is just force it into extra innings.
It looks like they are going to put Drew Cox back out there, able to work out of that jam, runner on second with 1 down in the previous inning. This is a big moment here for Drew Cox, the sophomore. Kings with an opportunity to what we would count as a bit of an upset here. 7-4 Kings, 8-3 Comets on the season.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like much of an upset when you look at the records, but a lot of it's strength of schedule. GMC, a phenomenal baseball conference. CCC, you know, not too far behind, but if you look at who Mason's played, Oak Hill's one of the best teams in the city, definitely a state tournament contender. They've got a little bit of the edge in that category. Oak Hills is accountable for 2/3 of Mason's losses on the season.
It'll be Cox facing Will Coker, the sophomore catcher, leading off for the Knights in the bottom of the 7th. Kings able to score in the 3rd, 5th. A run apiece in both of those innings, and they would keep that trend going with a run here, and it would be the walk-off winner. First pitch from Cox to Coker. Taken for ball 1 low. And if you're Drew Cox, the name of the game here is strikes. Wouldn't you agree?
I mean, the nerves have got to be through the roof for Cox, and that makes it harder to throw strikes. We'll see if he can calm himself down, but this is his 3rd inning pitched. Done a pretty good job so far, but this is just a different situation.
Coker fouls that one back to even the count at 1-1. As the sun sets here at Prasco Park, stadium lights come on. Bottom of the 7th tie game. This is the moment that all these young athletes have lived for. As that one is taken for ball 2. as Coker moves ahead in the count at 2-1.
It's going to be important about how Cox starts these counts. For a younger pitcher with a lot of nerves.
On the ground at Johnson. And he's going to make the put out. And so that's one down in the inning. Coker not able to get anything going. As Noah Dameyer, who scored the first run of the game for the Knights, is going to step to the plate to face the sophomore, Drew Cox.
I mean, the Comets are very fortunate to face the 7, 8, 9 hitters of Kings in the bottom of the 7th. About the best you could ask for.
First pitch, a breaking ball by Cox. Perfectly placed, and he gets the called strike.
That was a phenomenal pitch. Dan Miller ducked out of the way. He thought it was going to hit him. But it ended in the strike zone. 0-1's the count.
Pitch number 2 is in the dirt for ball 1. Count even at 1-1. One down in the inning on the ground ball by Coker. Cox working from the windup with nobody on base. Wind blowing out to center field. Cox's pitch, a little too high there for Dameyer as he moves ahead in the count 2-1. Crucial pitch coming up here for Drew Cox. As Bly couldn't control it, and all of a sudden it's 3-1. One of the ultimate hitters counts right here.
It's now where you want to put a good hitter like Dan Meyer in that situation. He's going to have the green light.
Here's the 3-1 pitch, and it's taken for a strike, and it'll be a full count here. Dameyer at the plate. Big pitch coming up here for Drew Cox. On the ground, over towards the third base coach, and Dameyer stays alive.
What a play from Coach McClung over there, fires it right to the pitcher.
The full count pitch here from Cox. Breaking ball, and it sits above the zone. Looked like it caught the outside corner, but the Knights have a base runner. As Coach Kurt Bly is going to take a walk out to the pitcher's mound as he looks over to his bullpen. We'll check out the situation here.
And that's a crucial walk because you turn it over to the top of the lineup after this, as long as there's no double play here from Schaff. And that's not what you want to do. You want to play the lineup, but the thing about Kings is they have a .217 team batting average, and it feels like there's a lot of balance and everyone's equal within that starting lineup from top to bottom. So, maybe that credit's a little less to that against a team like Kings. But it looks like Cox is going to stay in the game. They have a lot of confidence in him.
One down in the inning. Dameyer, the runner, on first. It'll be Jaden Schaff who had that huge triple. As Cox will throw over. He'll check on Dameyer. 2-2 the score. Bottom of the 7th inning. Knights with a base runner on first. The pitch from Cox is taken for strike 1. 0-1 the count.
It's good to see Cox's confidence, his nerves low enough to throw a strike there right down the middle. Doesn't want to get too safe, though.
Cox will throw over again. Comets not looking to give any extra bases here in this crucial of a spot. Bottom of the 7th inning. As Cox will throw over again. A little bit quicker of a move there. Checking on Dameyer. 0-1 the count. Jaden Schaff at the plate to center fielder. Cox will head to the plate. Breaking ball sits above the zone once again.
We've seen the generosity of the home plate umpire, but that breaking ball is just a little bit high is not included in that. We've seen it a few times from Cox and a few times from Garrett.
Throws over again. Hanley unable to control it. The count even at 1-1. One down in the inning. The pitch from Cox is swung on and missed. Ahead in the count, 1-2.
It's big to get ahead for Cox, and the confidence, it's going to be important for him. The jitters of a bottom of the seventh situation. You got to run her on, you got to run her out. And that's probably why he's been thrown over so much. But he definitely wants to keep Dan Meyer in check.
Cox has kind of been unable to establish any real rhythm on the pitcher's mound. Still been pretty effective, only giving up 1 run. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. Drew Cox with a huge strikeout, and that's going to be the second out of this bottom of the seventh as Willie Grinnell, the left fielder and the leadoff hitter, heads to the plate.
Big time pitch from a sophomore, and we'll see if he can get an even bigger one here against Grinnell. Grinnell has had a spectacular day offensively and defensively, but it's a matchup of talent versus experience, and another throw over for Cox.
2 out in the inning. Grinnell at the plate. He reached base safely in the first inning on an error by Ben Stewart and Drew Cox, ironically enough. The pitch from Cox, breaking ball, too high. Ball number 1, 1-0 count.
Cox hasn't had a lot of success today locating that breaking ball. It's the fastballs that's really got him, and I think he's got to trust his fastball a little bit more. Kings hasn't been hitting it to perfection up to this point. Grinnell's a great fastball hitter, though, so you got to be careful with the 1-0.
Strike number 1, outside corner. Count even at 1-1 with 2 down. Drew Cox, after issuing that walk, has settled down and battled back here in this inning. On deck, Terrace Garrett. Cox. A little bit low there is going to be taken for ball number 2.
I think you can tell Cox is a little scared to throw that fastball in there. Like I said, he's got to trust it a little more. But with the success that he's got painting corners with his four-seamer, you got to expect it here coming up. But those throw-overs, feels like there's one between every pitch.
Grinnell at the plate. Cox. The 2-1 is fouled down the right field line.
Two counts even. And Cox is one pitch away. How impressive would it be from the sophomore?
Of course, Terrace Garrett able to work out of that bases loaded, no-out jam. It's proved to be a huge storyline in this game, has been both of these teams' ineffectiveness with runners in scoring position. The count even at 2-2, Grinnell stands in, crowding the plate a little bit. 2 out in the inning. The pitch from Cox, breaking ball. And it's on the inside corner. Bly didn't even really give the umpire a chance to make that strike call.
Talk about overframing, but maybe that's a situation where they could have benefited from a frame. You know, that maybe caught the corner close. But with nothing from Bly didn't give it an effort. It's another throw over from Cox.
Full count, 2 out. Dan Meyer will be running in this situation. Hanley holding him on at first. The pitch from Cox is grounded to third base. Stewart trying to get to Speedy Grinnell. He is out at first base. A great pick from Jake Hanley.
Stewart, the quick throw. And he didn't rush it. He made sure he got it first. Couple steps. Wasn't a perfect throw, but Hanley, he's been spectacular all day over at first base. The freshman's having more of an impact than people may think. It's not going to show up on the stat sheet. but the 2 RBI double accounting for all of Mason's runs in the regulation. And we have free baseball, Addison.
Extra innings from Prasco Park. Is there anything better in an early season neutral site game such as this for the Trinity Diamond Classic? Looking to take home that trophy, as we're going to have a new pitcher here. Terrace Garrett, for the first time, will not head out to the mound for the Knights, as it looks like Jack Harris, the junior, is going to take the mound for Kings. Michael Molnar will lead off the inning for the Comets.
7 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, awaiting a decision. That's the final stat line from Garrett, and what a performance. Able to mix pitches to perfection. A little bit of a miscue there in the 4th inning, but that's all. That's the only blemish on his record for today.
Harris on the mound for the Knights. Comes into the season comes into this game 6.46 earned run average, 4 innings pitched, 1 strikeout, as well as a win in 2 games, 2 appearances for the junior. Molnar will lead off. Jackson Orlando on deck for the Comets.
And what a way it would be for 2 guys that haven't lived up to their expectations, but we know we can get out of them. And how great would it be to get their season going, to get started in an 8th inning situation like this?
Molnar, a lot of pop in that bat, a lot of speed as well. Truly a 5-tool player for the Comets. 2-2 the score, top of the 8th inning. Molnar stands in. The pitch from Harris. Line towards the second baseman, and it's a base hit.
Perfect start for the Comets in extra innings. Molnar wasted no time, first pitch swinging, and he's been hitting the ball hard. He's been hitting the ball hard all day. It was only a matter of time before he places one perfectly. We'll see if Orlando can do the same.
Molnar finally able to break through. 2-2 the score. Orlando named one of the top players in the GMC coming into the season by Cincinnati.com, and he flashes a bunt, and Molnar is going to take off and take second base.
All right, Addison, you got a runner on second, no outs. Do you look at that bunt situation? You get him over to third with 1 out, and then you got to trust Bly with a sacrifice. What do you like here?
Of course, Kings has pretty much been sound defensively, and Orlando known as more of a pop bat here. It's going to be interesting to see what Bly goes with, as Orlando will take called strike 1 to even the count at 1. Kurt Bly didn't like the call there.
Yeah, Bly didn't. You could see Orlando didn't again. That was the same guy who talked about how you can't let that get in your head. Got to focus on the at-bat, focus on the pitcher.
Harris's 1-1 pitch is lined over the second baseman, and it's going to be caught by the right fielder. Jackson Orlando frustrated as he made solid contact with that ball, but Dameyer in right field able to come in and make that play, and Molnar stays put at second. Brady Bly now.
Bly's going to have the chance to prove himself. He's proved himself defensively all year, offensively. What are we going to see? Couldn't be more of a perfect situation for Bly. With a runner on second, 1 out, top of the 8th.
Harris's pitch. Bly is going to take it on the outside corner for strike number 1. Oh, 0-1 the count to the catcher Brady Bly. Jack Harris. His 0-1 pitch, a breaking ball, and it's fouled off by Bly. He certainly got held up a little bit there.
That was filthy. It crossed him up, and I don't even know how he made contact with that one. But it's 0-2 no matter what. Bly's in a hole.
0-2 the count. One down. Harris will step off. We've seen this a lot from the Kings pitching staff, taking their time, being very deliberate and diligent on the pitcher's mound. And here comes the 0-2 pitch from Harris. Outside corner, a little bit too far outside. Count sits at 1-2 now.
I think Harris out there has got to get a tighter hat. It's flying off every time, every pitch. But it's the same 6, 7, 8 that weren't able to get anything done with bases loaded, no outs, that'll be up here. And a strikeout from the 7-hitter Bly. So Orlando and Bly back-to-back. That's 2 straight times those two haven't been able to get anything down or move any runners over.
Big-time strikeout there from Harris in the Comets. Had a runner on second with nobody out. In steps Noah Samel. Comets need to cash in here. Strike one. Big-time pitch there from Harris, challenging Samel to start the at-bat. Molnar leads off second. 0-1 the count, 2 down, top of the 8th inning. The pitch, Samel with a line drive to the shortstop, and it is caught. And we will head to the bottom of the 8th.
And I just mentioned it, Orlando, Bly, Samel. 2 straight times. Last 2 times they were up, they had prime positions. And those 3 aren't able to get it done. Of course, it's not just those 3 for the Comets today. They are tied still.
Bottom of the 8th inning action here. We'll see who the Comets trot out to the pitcher's mound, and it looks to be, once again, the sophomore Drew Cox.
I think it's safe to say, after what Coach Bly said, and after seeing this, Drew Cox won't be starting tomorrow against Princeton.
It's probably a safe assumption and an astute observation, if I do say so myself, Ben.
I try.
Cox has been stellar, only giving up 1 run to this Kings offense after that triple down the right field line. As Terrace Garrett is going to step in for the Knights. It seemed like this game was moving pretty quickly at the beginning, and it's now moved to sort of a never-ending pace.
On the other side, we saw Garola in a big position, and he struck out. The pitcher who started this game couldn't help himself out. Let's see what Garrett does. I know he doesn't want an L after that performance he threw today. So he's going to do anything he can to help himself out. He'll face off against Cox.
1 run will win it for the Knights. Terrace Garrett, the 2-hole hitter, standing in to face Drew Cox. Ben Stewart over to second base. Mark Rutherford in the game at third base for the Comets. Rutherford, only a freshman, getting his first look in the bottom of the 8th inning in a big-time matchup against the Knights. The first pitch from Cox. Garrett fouls it back. 0-1 the count.
And Rutherford coming in, I'm sure some of it might be due to Bly, kind of lackluster performance. You know you can get better out of him. He's been a really good hitter, potential-wise, and we've seen some of that so far this season. Not one of his best games. As Garrett fouls one off.
Garrett will call time. 0-2 the count. Nobody out. Leadoff batter. The pitch from Cox. Swung on and missed. Drop third strike. Can he get on base? No. Hanley makes the catch. Bly with the throw over. And Garrett will take a seat.
I thought Bly was out of the game. That's my bad. He made his appearance known. Smart play. Cox rushed over to that. It felt like he was going to pick it up, but Bly, he kind of wondered why he was going over so slow, but he had the confidence, and he knew he had time to pick it up. High IQ play from Bly, not trying to rush it.
In stands Lucas Ruswick, the 3-hole hitter. The pitch from Drew Cox. Breaking ball in there for strike one. Pitch number 2 of the at-bat. Missed somewhere, not quite sure where, but it is 1-1.
Cox is going with a heavy diet of breaking balls now. That's almost all it is. I talked about it with Garrett. When you're fatigued, the velocity on your fastball is going to be a little low as he finally throws one for a strike. But when that velocity is low, your fastball isn't going to be as effective, and you got to lead on that breaking ball.
1-2 the count. One down in the inning. The payoff pitch from Cox is swung on and missed, as Bly sails it over the head of Rutherford there, but that'll be 2 down in the inning, and the cleanup hitter, Christian Stacy, will step to the plate.
How about the confidence of Cox? And he's just finding himself right now. It's just a swagger on the mound. This is his 4th inning if he can get this last out. And he's just really found what works, and he's been executing well. 1-0, first pitch of ball.
Cox looking to work out of the bottom of the 8th inning here. Send it to another extra. Is that one fouled down the third base line past Rutherford? Count even at 1-1, 2 down in the bottom of the 8th. One the count. The pitch from Cox. On the ground, left side, Rutherford played deep, and he bobbles it, and the Knights get a base runner.
I'm not sure even without the bobble that he would have been able to make that play. A really tough position Rutherford was put in, and he does all he can. But Kings has got a runner now. That's going to be the winning run. What can Eads do? He's had quite a game offensively at the plate.
Eads with that double. Of course, got doubled off later in the inning. Move over there. Cox keeping Stacy honest. Eads. The pitch from Cox. Eads with a fly ball into left center field. Orlando and West converging, and they will make the catch, and we will head to the top of the 9th inning. We're going to take a quick break, and then we will be back
in the home run. We called it for you. The walk-off.
Welcome back to Prasco Park. As we have extra inning action here, Kevin West stepping in to the batter's box for the Comets. A little bit of a discussion here between the home plate umpire and the head coach of the Knights, it would appear. Possibly a little substitution issue.
I'll tell you what, if I was a high school baseball coach, I think I'd have a substitution issue about every game. It gets confusing out here with the courtesy runners and the courtesy hitters.
2-2 the score, top of the ninth, as we're heading towards the Major League innings count. First pitch to West, and he fouls it off his foot. Oh, 0-1 the count here to West.
And if you're West, this would be a perfect scenario to break out of your slump. And it's a position where it's like you're in so much of a slump where you're almost not expecting yourself to get a base hit every time. So in a bat like this, it's like a hit's a little bit of a surprise if you're in the mindset of West. But I'm sure West has a stronger mindset than that, and we know his potential. We know what he can do.
Inside corner for ball one. This home plate umpire, we talked about his consistency earlier. He's certainly been calling those corners. Didn't want to call it there. West pops it straight up. And the catcher, Coker, didn't get a good look at that one. That will be strike two. We do have a new pitcher entering the game for the Knights. It's going to be Willie Grinnell, the left fielder, the speedster, coming in to pitch. Sort of a submarine-type pitching motion. 1-2 the count to West. Swing and a miss. Grinnell with a big-time strikeout.
Exactly what you want to start off the inning. Get your confidence up. But he does turn it over to the top of the order. And it'll be Max Johnson, the shortstop. The Indiana commit. Big-time players make big-time plays. And we're going to need that from Johnson here.
Strike one to Johnson. 0-1 the count. One down in the inning. Top of the ninth. It's been a pitcher's duel. Grinnell working quickly. Strike number two. And Johnson, in the blink of an eye, is down in the count 0-2.
He's a pretty good two-strike hitter.
On the ground, bobbled by the second baseman, and Johnson's speed. Too much to handle there. Hune with the error. And that's going to be a base runner for the Comets.
And kids at home, that is why you run out. A routine ground ball looked like routine just to the second baseman, to Hune. But he struggled with that. That's going to be his second error of the day.
Stewart standing in, the two-hole hitter for the Comets. Johnson leads off first. Grinnell gives Johnson a look at first. Stewart. Low. Ball number one.
Stewart's got a lot of pop at his bat. He's a power hitter. A double could bring in the game, the go-ahead run.
Grinnell steps off. Grinnell's pitch is outside. Ball number two. So Stewart certainly ahead in the count right now.
Now with these submarine pitchers, they're very effective, but when you usually see them, it's usually just going to be out of the bullpen because it's a very weird motion used to. Once you get used to it, it's kind of when you can key off that. That's why you don't see them in a game for that long.
and they get Johnson. They will at second. The grounder back to the pitcher. So that'll be 2 down in the inning. Stewart at first on the fielder's choice, and in steps the freshman Jake Hanley, who's driven in the only 2 Comets runs in this game.
He's got the potential, and he's a 3-hitter. He's there for a reason. Had that big 2 RBI go-ahead double in the 4th inning.
Grinnell steps off, gives Stewart a look. Here comes his first pitch, working quickly, and he takes strike 1. Hanley steps in. 0-1 the count, 2 down. Fouls it off himself. 5 hits for the Comets, 4 for the Knights. 0-2 the count to Hanley. 2 down in the top of the 9th inning. Rutherford waits on deck. Off his hands, Grinnell over to first, and that'll end the top of the 9th inning. Grinnell showing some emotion off that mound as we head to the bottom of the 9th, deadlocked at 2.
I love the atmosphere, and it's not even a conference game, but you wouldn't have guessed it. With an attendance here at Prasco Park of 845, it's nice to have fans back in the crowds. As Prasco's Park first event back, and we love playing here. We love broadcasting here. Great venue. Big East baseball tournaments held here every year. You know me, I'm a big Xavier baseball fan, so that's fun for me every year. Come down the street, watch the Musketeers play.
Of course, Big East tournament, one of the great events in the area for baseball in the calendar year. Of course, we were sort of robbed of some of these fantastic events due to COVID-19, but we're back in full swing. Solid attendance here for this matchup between 2 of the top teams in the area. And Kings has proven they can hang with the best. Comets projected to be the #1 team in the state of Ohio, according to the Associated Press, coming into the season. Had that 1-2 matchup versus Moeller, took that to begin the season, and people were thinking this Comets team was going to roll through everybody. A couple teams have had something to say about that. Oak Hills certainly picking up 2 wins against the Comets, as well as Lakota West.
And the talent's definitely there. The talent has the potential to, like you said, roll through teams, be the #1 team in the state, but it's the inexperience. Situational baseball hasn't been the best for the Comets early in the season. And if they can pick that up, they are a dangerous team heading into the tournament.
Drew Cox back out there for the top of the 9th, and that first pitch is fouled off by the second baseman, Hune. Hune, fly ball, right center field. West and Molnar, and they collide. It gets by him. It's rolling out, and Hune is going to roll into second, and he's going to stop there, and the winning run is up to second base with nobody out.
How about the player who just committed an error on the defensive side gets on an error by the Comets? I mean, West and Molnar, you got to talk out there. That's the importance of communication. And it looks like no one called anything. Or if they did, the other didn't listen.
A lot of these critical mistakes proving to be the downfall of the Comets in this game. Situational at-bats and situational defensive plays, unable to take advantage as the Kings with a golden opportunity here to win this game. Cox will work from the stretch. Nobody down. Coker at bat. Bottom of the 9th inning action here from Prasco Park. Cox's first pitch is high and inside for ball #1.
If you remember, Kings had a situation like this earlier in the matchup. Runner on second. There was one out in this situation, but they got that double up, the fly out to West, and then the awareness to throw it to second. So you're going to look for that again, and if you're Canes, you're going to learn from your mistakes.
Went over there and 2 outs. 2 strikes. We're done.
2-0 count to Coker.
Keep the guy on top.
Cox being selective here. Of course, putting a runner on.
He was like,
Will
"Seriously, dude,
put the
you
double
got it?"
play
He was laughing about it. And then he
in
goes,
action
"You gotta make
as Coker with a big swing and miss. And that's going to be strike number 1.
He had 2 outs, 0-2 count. He threw a slider, and the guy just stood there.
2-2 the score. Bottom of the 9th inning. Coker at the plate. Runner on second. That's Hune. Cox's pitch glides right across the middle for strike number 2, and we're even at 2-2. Even count. The pitch to Coker coming. And it's to the first baseman. It's going to be bobbled. And they're going to stop him at third base. Stewart bobbled it. And the third base coach decided to hold him up at third base. Hune looked like he might have had an opportunity to score, but Stewart was able to corral that ball, get it back into the middle of the infield.
Probably a smart move by the third base coach over from Kings. That's Coach McClung. With no one out on, all it takes is a sacrifice, and that's definitely not a situation you want to risk it. At the plate, they're going to have a meeting at the mound. This might be the day for Cox.
Of course, to put any pitcher, any new pitcher in this situation, first and third, nobody out, the winning run, just 90 feet away. It's a high pressure situation with Dameyer coming up to the plate, the senior. They're going to leave. It looks like Cox out there to try and fight this on his own.
Do you intentionally walk Dameyer here? I know that run doesn't matter. The runner at second doesn't matter. And you get a force out at every base. Especially at home, that could be crucial if you get a force out.
Dameyer at the plate. First and third, infield in for the Comets. A base hit wins it for the Knights. Runner goes, trying to bunt that run in, and it's fouled off.
That was a suicide squeeze. He was on the run.
0-1 the count. Hune leads off third. Coker off first. Coker's going. Another bunt attempt. And that's going to end it. A pass ball. It looked like it might have been a foul. But Hune's going to come in, and the Knights win it in extras. A pass ball from Brady Bly, and the Knights win it 3-2 in the bottom of the 9th.
After 9 innings, a full MLB game, Kings comes out on top, bottom of the 9th, pass ball, tough situation. It's a hard situation for Bly. You're expecting that bunt, and you're kind of in position on a suicide squeeze. Kind of puts you in a different position as a catcher, so it's tough, especially for a junior, first-year varsity player. But nevertheless, Kings comes out with a W.
It's been a great night of baseball. Absolute barn burner between the Comets and the Knights. And for my partner, Ben Haller, I'm Addison Lenhart. Thanks for tuning in.